Hello friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. I'm Rita, and today I want to share with you a card I made using a different technique, at least it's different to me, and that's called backstamping. So before we get started with that, I just quickly wanted to cover some housekeeping things. And first of all, I want to let you know, you may wonder, why in the world, Rita, do you have plastic or latex gloves on? And I'll just be very honest with you. We live here in northern Nevada, and our weather has been unusual since last October. We've had kind of winter weather or winds or rain, and it's really prevented any kind of yard work. Before that, of course, we weren't in the yard much because before October we had bad air quality, so there we were kind of stuck inside. So in the last couple of weeks, not the last 2 days, but before that, we had some really great weather, and so my yard was crying for some love. And of course I went out to assess and kind of clean up and get ready for some real yard work. And I spent a couple of days in the yard, and whatever was in the yard that I came into contact flared up my eczema. So I made a decision this morning. There were some choices: to not have my live, to cancel it, but I canceled last week, so I really didn't want to do that again. Or just not wear gloves and feel self-conscious because I don't know if you've ever seen eczema, but there are some spots that are still very sore, even though my hands are healing quite fine and they don't hurt or anything. But I didn't want to be self-conscious. So I realized that it looks a bit silly, but in my book, I made a choice. Do I want to look silly, or do I want to be self-conscious? So I decided to avoid the self-conscious if I can, and so just a little grace if you feel like it's silly. So long explanation, but that's why we have the gloves today. All right, the other thing I wanted to share with you is, as you all know, our 23-24 annual catalog is now live. So you are very welcome to shop in the catalog. Now you can do that two ways. You could ask me for a complimentary copy, and I'd be more than glad to share it with you. Or you can hop on over to ritaspapermotif.com, and there you can visualize the digital format of the catalog. In any case, either way is easy. So, you will, I'm sure you definitely want to take a look. All of our brand new colors, the new in colors, and also the other colors that we call it color refresh, are also in here. All right, and that brings me to a couple of more things. I'll try to make it quick so we can get on with our card. But we're having a few new things coming up here at Rita's Paper Motif. One is I'm going to have an in-color club. And so you have the opportunity to join on a monthly basis. And each month I would send you the items for the in colors. And in 6 months you would have all the in colors. And you'd have cardstock and ink and blending markers. So that would be something that, if you're interested in, you definitely want to pay attention to that, and all the details will be either in the newsletter, and you can subscribe to the newsletter at ritaspapermotif.com or even at ritaspapermotif.com. So if that's something you're interested in, please go there and look at that. All right, the other thing is, starting next week, we have May's monthly card club. And so each Thursday in May, when I come to you live, I will be sharing the cards I made, but you'll also have the opportunity to get the card kits for those cards for free with qualifying purchases. So I'll go into that more next week. But let's get on with it. So the technique that I wanted to share with you. It's called back stamping. And I was introduced to that by Jennifer McGuire. She is the queen of technique in my book. And so I was quite interested in that technique, and this is the card I made using that technique. Now you'll also see on this card that there is a brand new color, and this is one of our new in colors. It's called Moody Mauve. Now Moody Mauve it's a gorgeous color, and I'm going to use that today, so you'll get to see more of it. But there's not a secret that purple is one of my favorite colors. And mauve has always been a favorite color of mine, whether it's in bathroom towels or a lipstick or nail polish. It's just been a favorite of mine for a very, very long time. And just for kind of an interesting thing is it goes well with sunflower decor too. So just so you know. Anyway, so this is the card we're going to make today, and let's get with it, and I'll show you how we do that. So I'm going to tell you first of all what you need to make this card, and if you wanted to make it with me, then you can get your item. So this is the card we're making. In order to make that card, you'll first need a half a sheet of basic white cardstock. Our basic white cardstock comes in the measurements of 11 by 8.5, and you simply cut with the 8.5 side at the top. You cut it in half, which measures a 4 1/4. And then if you rotate that cardstock in your trimmer and you score right at 5.5, you'll have a top folding A2 size card. So you'll need one of those. You'll also need oh, isn't this gorgeous? You'll also need, and I'll put it next to some white, so it might show up a little better. This is our Moody Mauve cardstock, and this measures 5.5 by 4. This is going to be our layer that fits right on top of that white card base. And then I almost gave it away, and I didn't want to do that yet. You're also going to need the framed floret stamp set if you want to make the exact same card that I'm making. We're going to use this stamp here. This is the flowers, and then the smaller flower, and then the larger flower. So this is a great stamp set. Excuse me, you can find that in the online store, of course. We're going to be using that today. We're also going to be using this tiny little dot right here in the Sending Smiles stamp set. So a lot of times we can use items from different stamp sets. It just creates different effects on our card, but that's the beauty of having different stamp sets to your at your hand's touch. So this also can be found in the online store. We're also going to be using this stamp set, which is the Biggest Wish. I love this stamp set. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It just gives you a variety of maybe the big block words or even cursive. And I always tend to kind of use the cursive, but I just like the way, the font. I just really like that. This is also, of course, in the online store. And then for the Mother's Day, ignore my note. I have a missing stamp here. I'll have to search high and low. I thought I had pretty much searched high and low, but I didn't find the missing stamp. In any case, we're going to be using the Happy Mother's Day stamp as well because it's Mother's Day. All right, so I want to show you how I made this card. And one of the things that I'm going to show you right now is how I created this piece of, it's like homemade designer series paper. This is where we use the technique. So for this, you'll need a piece of basic white cardstock, and I have one right here. You're going to want to cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5, but we're going to go ahead and start with this piece. Let's see if I have a smaller piece. Let's just start with this, and then we can always cut it down. And so you're also going to need 2 ovals. I'll just tell you now. You need 2 ovals. We're really going to stamp and decorate one, but we're going to put them together for some definition. And then on some, you'll need a scrap of white, basic white paper as well, because we're going to do some stamping. So I'm just going to grab some of that, so a scrap piece of the basic white. So let me just start in with the stamping of the flowers. Now I've already stamped these because I didn't want you to have to sit and watch me color and stamp and cut. But let me just basically show you what I did. And I used the Memento Black, and I took the stamp set. It has the 2 flowers, so it's again just to re-say, it's this little stamp right here, and of course it's on acrylic block. You could definitely use basic gray if you wanted to. I'm going to use my Memento and get it inked up. I'm going to need 2 of these. And so I'm just going to paste it. This is paper that I had used before practicing. So I'm just going to use the opposite side and go ahead and stamp it. And I'll stamp another one because we're going to need 2. Let's see here. Okay, and then we're going to clean off our stamps. And while you're thinking of maybe advancing the product in your craft room, always keep in mind that you need to clean off your stamps, and that is so that the next time you use them, you don't have to worry about, you know, cross-coloring your stamp. So this is called a chamois. It's in my online store, and it does dry out, but all you have to do is wet it. So it just works like one of those chamois that you use around the house. And I'm thinking of the one that my husband used to use with the car when he washed the car. All right, and then I'm going to take this larger size flower right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it. Now, we would be through with the Memento. And so I'll just put it away, kind of try to keep my area as clean as possible. And then I would go ahead and take my stamping blends. So let me get them out. So I will tell you what colors I have here. Just let me get them. I put them in this little container. I want to get them out here. All right, so as you can see in these flowers that I already colored, I have 2 colors. So I have the Moody Mauve. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh. So I have both the dark and light of the Moody Mauve. I have dark and light of the Fresh Freesia. I did want to say that Fresh Freesia was one of the in colors with the set that retired, but Fresh Freesia, thank goodness, did not retire. Is just moved to a new color family. So I'm going to use that today. And then a Granny Apple Green Stampin' Blend. Now, this is the light, and I'm just using the light. I don't need the dark for what I'm going to do. So basically, let's just start out. I'm going to use the light Stampin' Blend. And our blends have 2 tips, a whiter one and a thinner one. And I'm just going to choose a flower. I didn't really have any rhyme or reason for which flower was which, but I would just color that with the light Moody Mauve, and I do have to bring it closer to me just to be able to see what I'm doing here. My studio is very bright here, so have to get kind of close. And so I'm just going to color it with the light. Now these are alcohol markers, so they take a second or so to dry. And I don't want to use my dark mauve yet till it's dry because I want it to blend. I'll take the fresh freesia and I'll color the other flower. And you're just going to do this. I don't need to do it all because you'll get the point. But then I'll go back with my Moody Mauve, with the dark Moody Mauve, and I'll just color those lines. So those lines are already there. The artists have given them to you, and you can just, use them with the dark, and that brings definition to your flowers. And then, of course, I would do the Granny Apple Green, and just come in and do the leaves with the green. And I don't need a lot of definition with the green because, you can just color it. So I'm not really going to finish coloring all of it, but then there are the dies that come with their framed florets, and there is a die that would cut this out for you. And also this. Now I colored this with my Stampin' Blend with the Moody Mauve, and so I already have those done. So we're going to move on to the technique, which is what I wanted to show you. Now to do this technique, it's called back stamping. And I have a piece of scrap paper here because we're going to be stamping, of course. This stamp is, I have the side that has the lines and the detail face down on the acrylic block, and this is what we normally have, what we call the back side, which is normally what is stuck to the acrylic block. But we're going to do it a little different, and we're going to get out, you want to get an light color, and so we're going to be using the Moody Mauve, but I chose Fresh Freesia as the light color. So we're going to begin with that. And with the back of the stamp, we're going to stamp on here this flower. Now, I will tell you that you will want to do this technique, you will want a small stamp that is symmetrical. So that this is not exactly symmetrical, but it's pretty close. A heart would be symmetrical. I'll show you some samples. I used a party hat that was symmetrical. Butterflies are symmetrical. And just look in your stamp stash and see what you have, and anything that is symmetrical is great to use. The smaller the stamp, the better. So if you are a planner, you can use some of your stamps that are made for your planners too, because they're normally smaller. But I use my stamp set, my Stampin' Up! Stamp sets for everything. So they, the smaller ones work for the planners too. So let's go ahead and ink this up. And then I use, this is where I was going with all that. I use one of the petals of the flower, and I think of that as the top. So when I come back, I'll have the right orientation. And we're just going to go ahead and randomly stamp with the back of this stamp. And we're going to do that all over. And I try to do them in different spots so it doesn't look like a line thing. And just keep doing this. Now your lighter color, you may have to kind of be a little more careful to get, so you can see that some of them are awfully light, but that's okay. Anyway, you would go ahead and stamp your whole piece of cardstock, creating your own designer series paper. And then we are going to put this away. We don't, so it's not open. And then we're going to go ahead and clean our stamp. Now, once we clean that stamp, then we're going to turn the stamp over so that the side that we normally use when we're stamping is facing upward. We're going to open our Moody Mauve. I love this technique. If you've used this technique before, let me know in the comment section. But if you like it too, that's nice to know. I always like to see new techniques, and of course, Jennifer McGuire, she always comes up with new stuff. But you're going to take a darker ink because you're going to stamp over where you stamped with the back of the stamp. And that is just going to define that shadow. And I missed up there, but so I need to get closer. I'm really off. You want to line them up. And so getting this closer, it's easier for me to do that. And then once that you get all of the, you line them up with your darker color, then you can take an eraser, the pencil eraser. You know how it has that rubber tip? You can take that and use that. Or what I used was this little dot in the Sending Smiles stamp set. It's tiny, very tiny. And well, I haven't had trouble with these gloves till now. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and then just take that little dot of a stamp and you're going to stamp in the middle. Now you could do any color. You could do the Fresh Freesia if you wanted to. I'm doing the Moody Mauve on this. But you're just going to fill in the gaps with that little circular stamp. All right, so I've already done one, but I just wanted to show you how I did that. So let's kind of recap. Excuse me. So you're going to take the back of your stamp, the one that's normally adhered to the acrylic part here, and that's going to be exposed, and that's what you're going to do in the lighter colors. Then you're going to clean that off, turn it around, and the side that we normally use, you're going to use a darker color, and you're going to stamp in that shadow, kind of defining what, this looks just kind of like a blob, and so when you stamp on it, it gives it definition, right? All right, so I've already done that, and here's the one that I did earlier. So now we're going to put our card together, so let's go ahead and begin. The first thing that I want to adhere these two together. And so I'm going to get out my silicone mat here. I love this silicone mat because it keeps my surface sticky free. Sometimes I'm kind of messy, so I need all the help sometimes I can get. So I am going to be using my Stampin' Seal for this, but you could definitely use whatever whatever you prefer as far as adhesive. And then I'm going to go ahead and layer it on this Moody Mauve, and I'm going to try to space it so that all the sides have an even I didn't do a very good job there. Have an even amount of space, an even margin. Okay, so I have gone ahead and adhered those layers together, and then I'm going to put it on my card. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to show you, if you stick with me, I'm going to show you some examples of two other cards using two other small stamps. I can't really feel where I'm... Okay. That's the one drawback of these gloves, I guess. But I'm going to go ahead and adhere this on here too. Trying to get it even. Okay, and we're on here. Yay. All right, and then we're going to stamp on our oval. Now, remember this oval is from the die set with the framed florets. So what I used out of white, I've already used it up. I cut the, used the die that cuts this really nice framed part of an oval. And then when you use this, it cuts the inside out, and thus you have an oval. Okay? All right. Now I cut 2 ovals, and I'll tell you why. When I made this first card, I kind of felt like I wanted more height to it, more definition. It felt all kind of a little bit flat. And I do have dimensionals behind it. But I try never to double up on the dimensionals because I haven't had great luck with that. I just kind of feel like it's unstable. And if one of those dimensionals slips, the 2 of them, you know, where they touch, it's just a thing that I have. So I have no foundation for believing that, I just do. So what I wanted to do is just go ahead and double thickness of the oval. But we need to stamp it. And so I'm going to use the Sentiment Happy from this stamp set, of course. This one. And I am going to do it in the mauve, Moody Mauve ink. I just love that color. I think you're going to be seeing me use it a lot just because I love it. All right, so we'll just ink it up. I always love the new inks because they're so nice and juicy. And I'm just going to pick a spot kind of in the middle to stamp this. And here we go. Okay, and then on the inside of the card, I want to put Happy Mother's Day. So let's go ahead and do that too, because I want it in the same color. And then, so I was kind of excited. My granddaughter and I take cards every month to 2 senior citizen centers. So it was kind of neat to get some of these cards done up for them. So the senior citizens use those cards to send out, and sometimes the center uses them for the senior citizens. So it's just a win-win, and it also uses up some of those cards I practiced making, right? All right, so while we have the inside stamped here, I just want to use that. Remember I told you I did a little flower. So I'm just going to put that right here by the Happy Mother's Day, just to kind of decorate it. So that gives it a decoration. And then I'm going to work on these ovals, and I'm actually going to use glue because I want the chance to be able to manipulate these circles. And let's see here, is my glue coming out? It isn't, so I'm going to get a new glue bottle because this one's not cooperating. Let's see here. Liquid glue and I have not a great relationship because it's one of those that you don't need a lot, and I tend to be heavy-handed. Oh, here we go. Nope, I'm mistaken. Gosh, I guess we're going to go through all of these bottles. I might give up here in a minute. Here we go. I keep saying that, right? Well, they need to be cleaned up a little bit, I think, or something. So, let's see. I really wanted to use liquid glue, so I will grab a brand new one. These were out of stock for a while. They're so popular, and then with the last chance sale, they really did fly off the shelf. So here we go. The beauty of a brand new bottle, right? Should have done that in the first place. Okay, so then I'm going to match these up here. And that just gives it some double thickness. And I see I got a little bit of ink right here, so I'm going to remember that. And when I go to put my flowers and decorate it, I'm going to keep that in mind. All right, we're going to use some dimensionals to put it on our card. This is going to be hard with these gloves, I'm telling you. I may have to use my take a pick tool. I don't know how many of you maybe have experience with eczema, but it's very itchy. It doesn't hurt. And I usually just get like really dry patches. So it's much easier to I'm just going to use my take a pick tool. It's much easier once they kind of dry out, but they also become itchier with warm water. So if you have to do dishes or if you have to do something like that, chances are you're going to make them itch more, right? Because you have to use warm water for dishes, right? So it just takes a while for it to clear up. And I'm taking off the release paper on the dimensionals. Okay, here we go. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and put my envelope, what am I saying, my oval, and I'm going to cut some of that ink off, actually, that I see here. Just doctor it up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the middle of my card. And now I have these flowers here that we can use to decorate our card. And so I'm going to put this one right here. And I am going to use the glue, of course, because, let's see, how do I want to do this? There we go. I'm going to use the liquid adhesive because we can manipulate it. And there we go with that. And then I'm going to put another one right down here. And where you position them is truly up to you. Okay, so there's our card. Now, as you would know, we also have some in-colored dots that are gorgeous. And so you could choose, actually it looks good on that white, doesn't it? You could choose whichever color you wanted, of course. So you could also do some gold dots if you have some in your inventory. I am going to use the Moody Mauve. And I had a problem with getting these up earlier. because they're so small. So small. Let's see here. Then I lose them. Let's see if I can do it with my scissors. Yeah, they're so small, and I'll just use some bigger ones here. So then I'm just going to put some of these dots wherever I feel like putting them. I didn't put a whole lot on here because we already have those dots. You know, just wherever you want. Okay, so there's our Mother's Day card. And we did have the one already made, so you can just see the different options with, you know, where I placed the flowers, and this is double layered. But I wanted to show you some other examples of that back stamping. Now, this is the card I made using the party hat. So this is a stamp. It actually was a hat that came from an old Christmas time stamp, and so of course it was like a winter hat, but I used it as a party hat, and I did try to do like a little rainbow effect. So in hindsight, I would say I probably wouldn't space them so close together, but I did start with the rainbow idea, and then so that's what I used, but it's really for a birthday party. And then I did cut the circle. Now the layering circle dies have retired. Sad, sad, sad. But we do have the hole punch to take its place. So you still have the opportunity for those wonderful circles. I use them all the time. So I did a circle, and this is Bermuda Bay, and I stamped happy. And then I had some old Creative Memory stickers that was kind of fun to just use up. So I just decorated the circle with those. And then on the inside, of course, I put birthday and a little hat. So here's just a different take on that back stamping. And I did want to say, before I show you the next card, if you want to use bigger stamps, you can still do the back stamping, but here's what I would suggest. I would suggest you do your stamping on one side of vellum, and then on the other side, maybe do a stamp with the Versamark and emboss it, heat emboss it. So when you turn, so you have stamping on both sides of this sheet of vellum, but you have the heat embossed on one side and the shadow on the other. So when you turn it over, you get that same sort of effect. And then here's another card using hearts. So, you know, hearts aren't, in my opinion, are not just for Valentine's Day. So this is an old stamp set I used, but hearts come, I mean, there's even smaller hearts in the stamps that we have that are, you know, in our catalog right now. But, so I just used an old heart stamp, and then went ahead and created that layer. And then again, here's a circle, and I had some more, these are, I don't even know where I got them. They were actually for a planner, but I just used them up because I don't know, I don't think I would use them in my planner, but in any case, that's what I used there. And then on the inside, so I just put friend, and I just put just a little, does come from the framed floret stamp set. So what I'm trying to show you is that you can use the back stamping for other occasions other than Mother's Day, and you can use different stamps. Here's what you need to remember when you're thinking about back stamping is the clear acrylic stamps obviously are the stamps that you're going to need, because you need that flat side that we call the back side, and you need the detailed side that we call the front side. And the fact that they're clear makes it easier to stamp them. And the kind of, if they're smaller, like the flower that we use, this is a perfect size because it's big enough to fill up your layer, but it's small enough that it doesn't overwhelm you. And you can use it in any colors, of course, but so even the hearts too, they're smaller. Another thing that you could use are balloons. So just so that it is clear is the probably the requirement there. And then if you are going to use a bigger stamp, you would probably want to do it on vellum. All right, so this is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you're interested in that idea of back stamping and you just try it out. So obviously different colors and different stamps are going to give you different cards. So I hope they have a good time doing that. And also while I'm chatting with you, I just wanted to remind you that your likes and your thumbs up and your hearts are very welcome, and any comments you have are great as well. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comment section. And also, if you're interested in what's in the new catalog, please hop on over to ritaspapermotif.com, and there you can see the new catalog and shop there. And I appreciate your business. I appreciate your time, and you have a very good week. Bye now.